Hi, my name's Josh Juno. Today I would like to show you how easy it is to develop a PrimeFaces application using NetBeans IDE. Through the use of the wizards, we can build a complete CRUD application using PrimeFaces components without even typing one line of code. Let me go ahead and show you how we do that. So what we have here is a NetBeans project that's called Acme Pools, and this is just a standard Java EE7 application, and it contains a number of entity classes. One of those entities is named customer. Let me open it up, and you can see here this is just a standard entity class, and it maps to a table that's named customer. What I would like to do is create a CRUD application based upon this customer table. I can easily do this by right-clicking on Web Pages, and then select New, and then go to Other, and next I'll choose Java Server Faces, and then let's choose JSF Pages from Entity Classes. Let's choose Next. Now in this window, what I want to do is add the entity class that I'd like to build upon. So we'll choose Customer. I'll click Add. And notice now that I've got other entity classes that are selected with it. This is the discount code and the micro market classes. These are reference classes. We want to be sure to pull these in as well. So we'll go ahead and click Next. And now I have the option to choose a session bean package where I'd like to have the session beans created. So I'm going to choose Session. And then for the JSF controllers, they'll be created for me as well. So I'm going to choose the JSF package to create those. Now the important part to remember here if we're using PrimeFaces is that we can choose which template we'd like to use. So instead of using the standard Java Server Faces template, let's go ahead and choose PrimeFaces. This will allow us to build the pages using PrimeFaces components rather than the standard JSF components. So when I click Finish, what you're going to see is that the pages and the classes are being created for us, and we haven't even written any code at all. So the first thing I'd like to do now is go ahead and take a look at the Web Pages area of the application, and you can see that we've got a folder named Customer, and inside of this folder there have been 4 views created. One of them is Create, the next one's Edit, there's a List, and a View. This essentially gives me a CRUD application for the customer entity. Also, you can see that we've got the discount code and the micro market folders created as well, because these were the reference classes. If we scroll down a bit and go into the sources, we can see that in the JSF package we now have a customer controller. If we open that up, and you can see that just the standard JSF controller class uses CDI annotations, so that I can go ahead and work with this controller within the JSF views. We also have the discount code controller and micro market controller. And if I go down to the session package, I can see that there have been some EJBs created for me. I've got the customer facade, discount code, and micro market. If I open up the customer facade, I can see it's just a standard EJB. Let's go ahead and run this code so we can see what it looks like. So when the view opens up, we can go ahead and navigate to the customer list, and we will see that we've got a list of the customers that are in our database. This view was created without doing anything as far as coding at all. And if I select one of these rows, we can see that if I click this view, it's going to open up a view dialog. This is actually the view HTML file that was created for us. We close that, and we can also edit this by clicking on the Edit button. And you can see that all of my fields are there ready for me to edit. And again, if I go ahead and I make an edit, I can save it, and you can see that the record has been successfully updated. Now let's look again in this Edit window, and you can see that the discount code and the zip don't look quite right. We don't really want to have these long entity name classes here. What we would rather see is a nice visible label for the customer to choose. So let's change that within the Edit view. So in order to edit this, we simply go into the Edit view. Let's open that up, and let's see what these select menus have. If we scroll down, we notice that all we have is an item value. There is no item label, so let's go ahead and add the item label. And if we can see here that the code completion is taking effect, and it will easily allow me to add exactly what I would like to add. So here, for the discount code, I would rather show the discount code than the actual entity itself. Let's do the same with the zip code. And if I hit the space bar, you can see that I've got all the attributes showing up for me. And this auto completion is allowing me to select whichever attribute I would like to use at this time. Let's go ahead and we'll select label. And again, I'm going to use the auto completion here to add the zip item and then the zip code. Let's go ahead and save that. And now when we go back to our edit view, we click continue. It's going to refresh the view, and I will select edit once again. And this time when the record pops up to edit the customer, it looks much different. Now we have a nice coherent discount code and zip code. What happens if we select something incorrectly here? Let's go ahead and try and save that. You'll notice that we've got the client-side validation for PrimeFaces in place, and we haven't done any coding whatsoever. This all comes for free with the NetBeans JSF pages from Entity Classes Wizard. Next up, what I would like to show you is what happens if you've already got your entity and your controllers and your EJB set up, and all you really want to do is add some code to one of your JSF views without going through the problems of creating new controllers and EJBs. This is easy to do as well. For instance, let's go ahead and navigate back to the main view of the application. This is the index view, and you can see that what we've got is this list of, basically it's the customers again. We've got the customer ID, the name, and the email showing up. What I'm going to do is go into this view, index.xhtml, and what I want to do is actually delete this table out of here. It's going to take this whole form, get rid of it. I'm going to save it, and then when we go back, we see that it's now blank. So what I really want to do is add that back, and I'm going to show you an easy way to do it. When we right-click, we can choose Insert Code, and what I want to do is add a JSF data table from the entity class. Again, when this box opens up for the JSF table from entity, what I would like to choose is the customer entity, and again, this will give me the records in the customer entity. And what I would like to do for the managed bean property is make sure that I'm selecting the items from the customer controller, as that will give me a list of the different items. Again, now, we have the ability to choose which template we would like to use and apply to the page. And instead of using standard Java server faces, we can use PrimeFaces, which will give us the PrimeFaces components. When we click OK, we can see that that code is automatically generated for us, and we now have a PrimeFaces data table, which is going to list all the customers. If we go back to our view, you can see that it's been saved, refreshed, and there's our customers again. Now, let's remember, we didn't have all of these columns in the original format, so what we really wanted to do was just have the customer ID, I believe, and the name, and probably the last column we had was email. So let's go ahead and get rid of these unneeded columns. And this is easy enough to do. Is just go down and delete these unnecessary columns. And I think the other thing I had that was a little bit different, if we save this and go back, we can see that it's looking pretty good now. However, I believe I had a paginator on the form before, so we can easily modify this data table component and use the auto completion to select the rows. When I select the rows, I believe I was showing 10 before, so I'll add 10, and then the next thing I want to do is add paginator. And I'm going to set this to true. When I click save and I go back, now it looks a lot better, and I'm able to go through and see all of my customers in my entity. Now, there's one more thing I wanted to show you, and that is the excellent integration with the Chrome browser plugin if I'm going to be working with a mobile application. PrimeFaces does offer the PrimeFaces mobile library. It comes bundled with PrimeFaces 5, and it's easy to create a mobile application. What I've done is created a mobile facade for our application here. If I go to the Acme Pools PrimeFaces mobile, I can see that I've got this mobile interface that I have already created for. This is all very nice and looks great. However, what I really would like to do is see what this looks like in a mobile browser. So I can use this NetBeans Chrome plugin, and then I choose the different layout I would like to see. Let's say smartphone portrait. You can see that the browser is automatically resized to look like the mobile phone now. If I wanted to see what it would look like on my tablet, I can choose tablet portrait, and that looks better for a tablet. Great, easy way to debug and build your mobile applications using NetBeans. If I choose a customer, you can see that it transitions nicely, and I have a nice animation that takes me right into my customer record. Well, what happens if I go back to one of these other views that has not yet been created? I'd like to add some pool content here. What I actually want to do is add a form that will be used on the pool entity class. So let's go back to my mobile folder here and take a look at the pools XHTML file. You can see here that it's blank, and what I would like to do is add a form based upon the pool entity class. So I go ahead and right-click again and choose Insert Code. This time, my Generate Contextual menu, what I want to choose is JSF Form from Entity. When I get the dialog, I'm going to choose the pool entity. We want to make sure that this is going to insert into the selected field of the pool controller. And then again, let's go ahead and choose the PrimeFaces template. When we click OK, we can see that the form is generated for us in the editor. When I click Save, and then I go back to my browser and do a refresh, you can see that I've got a new form for inputting my pool information. Already set up in mobile, works very nicely. So to summarize, PrimeFaces is very easy to work with in the NetBeans IDE. NetBeans offers a number of ways to easily build your PrimeFaces application using default templates, code completion, and more. Make sure you download NetBeans 8.0.1 along with PrimeFaces 5.1 and get started today. Thanks for listening. My name is Josh Juneau, and have fun developing.